Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Good morning. Happy Saturday to you all. Hope you're all having a great week. On the college football front, things are excellent, man. I'm 4-0 this week in college football bets. Oh, shit. Hold on. Let me mute the TV. I'm 4-0 on college football bets this week, but not just the bets I actually placed. My picks in the games have been money. Wyoming plus 9.5 is the only game I've lost all week on the show, so things are going my way.
Shout out to the 3 drop passes at the end of the game.
Oh my god, dude. And for those of you that didn't watch that, it wasn't just like, oh, they could have caught that. I'm talking wide open in their hands. One of them went off the chest, other two directly off the hands right in front of their face. That's how That's how Wyoming failed to cover. They were driving down with a minute and a half left in Colorado State territory, which would have given them the backdoor cover, and 3 straight wide open drop first down passes, turnover on downs. Crazy. So I know everyone wants to talk college football, but I figured we do a 120-minute recap of the Jake Paul Tyson fight instead.
I agree.
Just let's dive deep, guys.
Paul by decision was the easiest bet you can ever make.
I feel like every single time people are like, "Oh, who you like in the Jake Paul Tyson fight?" and I respond, I'm not watching that stupid shit.
I like the 27-year-old rather than the 59-year-old.
That's a good handicap.
No, the reaction to those fights are always like people are pissed that they saw shitty boxing. It's like, duh.
That's what happens.
It's like literally what the product is. All right. Ohio State, Northwestern. Can we put a note, by the way, to fix game 1 so we don't keep having
We'll do.
Andy, that's you.
What's up with it?
It's frozen. I had to freeze the
Oh, I don't know why they've been doing that.
The beginning and end point in After Effects for game 1 is off. You just have to reset them. Anyway, Ohio State at Northwestern. This should be a real screamer of a game here. I mean, Ohio State, yes, is 4 touchdowns better than Northwestern, even on the road. The only reason to bet Northwestern here would be the fact that Ohio State has Indiana on deck. And that game against Indiana is basically a bid to the Big Ten championship game. The winner of that game is going to the Big Ten championship next week between Ohio State and Indiana. As crazy of a season that Indiana is having, if they lose next week, they very well might not make the Big Ten championship game, right?
Yeah, they very might not make the playoffs.
I don't know.
Even a 1-loss Indiana team.
I know. So, I mean, and Ohio State, if they lose that game, they got 2 losses. Now, I think a 2-loss Ohio State team probably still has a chance to get in. But yeah, next week is a huge. Now, put it on Northwestern. So, I mean, that's the only way I would go here is Northwestern because Ohio State has the big game on deck. Not to mention, I mean, on the road at Northwestern against this defense is not the
at Northwestern. It's at Wrigley Field.
Didn't even know that.
Technically,
I didn't bet this shit. Who cares? Is that Wrigley Field?
Yeah, it looks disgusting, like the way that the field looks. But yeah, neutral site game. It is in Chicago, so there will probably be a lot of Northwestern fans, but Ohio State fans travel well. I'm going to take Ohio State. I think that they're going to just blow the doors off them. I know last time we saw a look-ahead spot for Ohio State, it was against Nebraska, and they did struggle. If you can't tell the difference between Nebraska and Northwestern, I don't know what to tell you. Nebraska is not only a well-coached team, they have more talent than Northwestern. This Northwestern team, they are not a Big Ten team talent-wise. They've played some good games this year, but a lot of those games were against matchup-based. This is obviously a terrible matchup, so I think Will Howard will have a really big day before they take him out, and yeah, I think this is going to be an ugly one.
Yeah, I expect Ohio State to roll Northwestern too. This is going to get out of hand quick. Really, it should be the same exact type of game they had against Purdue where they won 45-0 last week. This game's going to be at Wrigley, like you said, so I don't know how that's going to play into the game. Usually that just means the field's shit and people's going to slip and fall and all these type of games. Otherwise, I don't think if it was here or at Northwestern's high school stadium, it really doesn't matter that much, I think. Obviously, you could say there's a look-ahead spot for Ohio State not to lose, but to not cover the spread since they have that big Indiana game next week. Like you said, whoever wins that one, they're going to go to the Big Ten championship. But I don't really think you can look ahead here. Northwestern is just that bad. They needed overtime to put away Purdue. The only game they looked decent in was Maryland, really, and Maryland hit a huge slide in the second half of the season. Northwestern's defense can only do so much here. I find it hard to see how Northwestern just puts up points. So if you want, under 6.5 points is plus 114. Under 7.5 is minus 186. So, books see this as a kind of 37-7 type of game. I think it's more like a 44-3 game. So I would take Ohio State.
Let's move on to the next one. Next game up is Texas on the road at Arkansas. This is a tough one to get a feel for because we've seen such extremities from these two teams. I mean, we've seen Arkansas look really competitive, and then in the Ole Miss game, they looked the complete opposite of that. Taylor Green definitely proved me wrong this year. I mean, he looks pretty good. That being said, even on the road in Arkansas, I trust this Texas defense. The Texas offense, I could poke holes in that, and we could sit here and say, hey, this offense with Quinn Ewers is super overvalued. I can get on board with that, but the Texas defense is too good. So yesterday in the video I uploaded, I actually recorded that 2 days ago. I had said under 57.5 and a lean towards Arkansas. I think my current stance on it would be under 57.5 and a lean towards Texas, or maybe an Arkansas team total under. I'm not betting this game. Scoop, didn't you say you had a bet on this game?
Yeah, I wish I got it at 16 but I waited like an idiot. I got it at 14.
Got what?
It opened up at 16 and it kept going down.
Oh, no, you're talking about Arkansas.
Yeah. Arkansas's, been on a win-loss streak. They had a nice Auburn win, then a loss to A&M, a big Tennessee win, lost to LSU. And they kept going on and off. The problem with the LSU and Ole Miss losses is they got absolutely blown out, and both are at home. I know they're home again here against Texas. I backed them out here in general. I want Arkansas to win because the SEC is a mess right now and would create even more craziness with that college football playoff. But I'm going to take Arkansas, even though they're struggling a bit at home against solid teams. I'm one of the people who don't believe Texas is that good. They've had a relatively easy schedule. Hardest game was Georgia, obviously, that they lost. But they almost lost to Vandy. But in general, easy schedule. Taylor Green has looked really good lately. And I think he can take advantage of being a dual direct quarterback, something Texas hasn't seen yet. They haven't seen a running quarterback. Plus, this is actually an old rivalry game. Arkansas hates Texas. The stadium's going to be loud and packed. If Taylor Green is accurate, which he has been lately, he definitely improved from last year. And Arkansas will keep grinding away their run game. I think they'll have a chance here. Arkansas, metrics-wise, is actually a top 10 offense. They're a lot better than people think. Their secondary on defense may not be great, but I think they have enough offensively to keep this game close throughout.
Andy?
This is interesting because obviously this was 3 years ago now these teams played, but and it wasn't a conference game at the time, and I don't know if people believe in long-term revenge games, but Arkansas embarrassed Sark and Texas last time they played. It was ugly. I think it was like 41-20, and Texas was favored going into that game, so it was a joke. Now that was 3 years ago, so I'm sure obviously the teams are very different, but the coaches are the same, so I'm sure they're thinking about it. In terms of the actual matchup, Taylor Green's probably the second best quarterback they've seen this year. And honestly, I'd probably say he's the best because Carson Beck just looks awful right now. And that's saying something because Taylor Green is not that good. So I'm going to go with Texas because I'm going to trust that they're just going to kind of hold these guys down. They held Carson Beck down. It's not like Carson Beck did anything to him. And that was the best quarter. No quarterbacks really had success against them. So there's no thought in my head that they're going to get thrown on here. The question is, will Texas be able to score on them? I think so. I think Quinn Ewers is getting comfortable again after being benched multiple times now. I mean, I think this is...
I guess. Why does it keep bringing it? So, by the way, the bet I have in this game is Utah team total under 17.5, by the way. So, I don't think you can get that anymore. But basically, this Utah offense is an absolute mess, and Colorado defensively has been a machine. I mean, Colorado's defense is every bit as good as their offense right now, which is crazy to say. But Colorado's having a great season. It's because their defense has turned things around, and they actually look... Colorado might have a top 25 defense. They're right on the fringe there. I'd probably have them in the top 30, 35 defensively in the country. It's a very good defense, and this Utah offense has been absolutely terrible for weeks now, pretty much this whole season. Arizona held this Utah offense to 10 points. So 17.5 I thought was a gift. I'm on Utah team total under is my actual bet. I don't think you can Andy didn't make a graphic for it, I don't think. You could just put Colorado up. I mean, I wouldn't bet it at this number now. It's 13.5, 14. Yeah, this one there's a few like this where the bet I have is long gone. So yeah, Colorado should win comfortably via the defense. Will Colorado have some problems offensively? Sure. Utah's defense is official, and I'm sure the pass rush will show up a little bit, even though Utah's pass rush hasn't been nearly as good this year as it normally is. So I'm sure that Utah's defense will be able to get off the field here and there. But even at 14, I would still lean Colorado because I just don't think Utah's going to score any points. The bet I actually have, though, Utah team total under 17.5. That's the one I actually placed.
Oh, you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't believe this line got to the point that it got to. People were just waiting for Colorado to be good. That's what it feels like to finally bet them and feel comfortable with it. Don't like to spread rumors. I heard that last night that Isaac Wilson's probably not going to play for Utah. Lord knows what their quarterback situation behind him is because he's not very good himself. If he doesn't play, this game they might not actually score a point. I'm comfortable taking Colorado even at this number. I mean, at this point, 2 touchdowns is fine. If it got even to 14.5, no. Utah is very, very, very pesky this time of year. That you saw it last week. They nearly beat BYU. Every single year they were in the Pac-12, they were doing this as well. They play spoiler. It's what Kyle Whittingham's really good at. Now, the problem is this year, I don't think he has the talent that he had in the past to even play spoiler. His team is not good. They're not quick enough to beat Colorado, and that's saying something. They're also not strong enough. They're on the line of scrimmage. They're about even with Colorado, but now they're not healthy either. So Colorado's probably better in that aspect too. So yeah, I'm for college football, I'm hoping Colorado kills them today, and I also would probably look into betting it right before the game. But Colorado.
Scoop.
Yeah, Utah stinks. No way I am taking them here. As everyone who watches this knows, I've always been a believer of Coach Prime and this Colorado Buffalo team. From the start, I preach good coaching, good defense. Not once did I say Shedeur and Travis Hunter is this whole team. So, yeah, no, I don't really care Utah's defense here. I'm not trusting Isaac Wilson or Brandon Rose or whoever they put back there on offense.
I think Brandon Rose might be out, by the way.
Is Isaac Wilson starting again? Great.
Let me check that. I'm pretty sure.
I know they should have beaten BYU, but they couldn't. And I think as good as that defense is, Colorado just has such a good offense. I know they still don't have a ground game. It's actually one of the worst. I think that's still more of an offensive line problem. They're good at protecting Shedeur lately, not good at any kind of push while running the ball. And really, though, I did trash this team earlier this year because of both lines.
We remember.
And their god-awful defense. Well, the defense has gotten better almost every game. They're solid against the run and pass right now. They'll have to shut down Bernard for Utah. I think they will. Colorado hasn't beaten Utah in the last 7 years, but these are way different teams right now. Colorado has a legit chance to make the title game. I do think they win here the rest of the way, so I'm going to take Colorado and lay the points.
All right, next. Another game where the bet I placed is long gone. So for those of you that haven't heard, Holstein is out for this game. Quarterback for Pittsburgh ruled out, which is beautiful not beautiful for him. I'm not cheering on his injury. I'm just saying beautiful for my bet. I have Pittsburgh team total under 21.5. I think it's down to like 18.5 now. So this one moves significantly. Obviously that'll happen when the quarterback's ruled out. I still wouldn't even hate it at the current number. I don't know how this Pittsburgh offense is going to score. Granted, I don't know who the backup quarterback is. Maybe he's awesome. But I didn't think there was a chance. Well, obviously there's always a chance. I didn't think Pittsburgh was going to get up in over 21 points with Holstein in there. So now with the backup quarterback against this Clemson defense, I think Clemson kills them. So you could put Clemson up for me now. But I mean, my bet that I actually placed is Pittsburgh team total under 21.5. But I mean, now that that number's long gone, I would probably just lean towards laying the points. Clemson should I mean, Pittsburgh's defensive front has been surprisingly good this year, so I can see a path to Pitt giving Clemson's run game some problems. I could see that. I could even see Klubnik not having the best game, but I don't expect Pittsburgh to score points, meaning Clemson's laying 11.5. I think it's 12.5 now. If they put up 24 points in this game, I think they cover this number. So, yeah, I would be on the Clemson side. But like I said, the bet I actually placed is Pittsburgh team total under 21.5 earlier in the week.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I was right about Pitt yet and how they're overrated. I believe I am. They're 10 points, 11-point underdogs to Clemson. But like Kyle said, I'm not a big Klubnik guy. I don't think Clemson's that great either. The reason I wasn't high on Pitt was they were hardly pulling out games. They had a weak schedule. I really wasn't high on Clemson at the beginning of the year. Same concept, really, cakewalk, a relatively easy schedule. They haven't played a ranked team since Georgia week 1. Yeah, plus, I mean, Georgia lost pretty decisively to Louisville and was blanked in the first half to Virginia Tech. I think Pittsburgh's going to stack the box here and make Klubnik throw. Like I said, I don't really like him, but there's no way I'm trusting Yarnell, like Kyle said, in any capacity. To a team like Clemson, I would lay the points here. I mean, he looked miserable against Virginia, who's significantly worse defense than Clemson. I get he'll get a week to prepare here, but he really did look bad. Clemson has offensive and defensive line problems. I think for this game, I think 3 are out, 6 are questionable, 2 are doubtful for both line sides of the ball. But so I think Pitt's defense may do well for the most part, but offensively, especially with Mumfield out too, their leading receiver, I just don't see that happening here. I know Pitt has really struggled offensively the past few weeks. Really, they haven't looked good since North Carolina, their offense. So this is actually Clemson's last conference game because they play 2 in-state games, the Citadel and South Carolina next. So they do need to win the game and any chance of making the playoffs. I think they'll come out strong here. Pitt has no run game, really, and now they're relying on their backup quarterback against Clemson. Yeah, I just don't see that happening, so I would take Clemson.
Yarnell, I forgot it was Yarnell. I actually thought Yarnell was going to be the starter coming into the season.
Yeah. Yarnell 2-1 as a starter in his career. That's what they posted. I did get this at 52.5 on the. I have the under. I'm not gonna have. I didn't make the graphic because that's gone anyway. I would just take Clemson at this point. I don't see a way Pitt keeps this close. That might sound silly, but Nate Yarnell has experience, but I thought it was an issue Holstein against Clemson. Anybody against Clemson right now. I think Clemson's as desperate as of a team as you could get right now because they expected to be in the playoff, and right now their only option is to win the ACC, which means they got to win this one, and they probably want to finish this one quickly. So I see this one being complete domination, similar to what Louisville did to them. So yeah, I think this will be very ugly. Quickly. I have the under at 52.5, but that's long gone, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, today's a tough one because a lot of the lines, I mean, almost all my bets, the lines are gone, which is crazy. So it's tough. And not to mention, it's not even the best day of college football games. It's not the prettiest slate here. Next up is Tulane Navy. I think Tulane blows them out. Now, I know Navy has a really good record. What is it, on senior night or homecoming?
1 on senior night.
Is that why some people are bet Navy? I'm assuming that's why the market has stayed at 7.
I hope that's not the reason, but I could see why people are getting to Navy. I'm not there. I think I have the under. I think that this Navy team's offense has hit a wall, and that happened against Notre Dame. It started then, and it's continued now. Last week, I think they actually scored 28, but that was against USF, South Florida. South Florida's defense is awful. They probably should have been able to score 40+ on that team. They had 28. They were getting stalled a lot in that game. So I think they turned it over a couple of times as well. So I took the under in their game last week, and it hit. I'm just probably going to keep doing it because it seems as if this is more Tulane. I think Tulane could score 28 points and still cover this number. I think that they could crush them in this one. I know the idea of it being senior night, great, 19-1. I haven't checked it. I'm going to assume a lot of those games were not against teams of Tulane's level. This was an independent team for a very long time. Those games were probably against UMass, like bad teams. So I wouldn't take too much stock in that. But yeah, I think Tulane, if I was picking a side, I'd say Tulane, but I have the under.
Yeah, I mean, this Tulane rushing attack it's probably the best group of 5. I mean, this Tulane offense might be the best group of 5 offense there is. Maybe Louisiana you could throw in there as well. But on the other, I feel like everyone knows that. Everyone knows Tulane has this powerful offense. They've been rolling everybody. In the last 7 games, they're averaging over 44 points per game. in 7 games. Like, it's not a small sample size. They're rolling everybody. So this Navy defense, in my opinion, is no different. I know if you look at the season-long numbers, it looks like Navy has a pretty solid defense. I believe they're allowing just 22 points per game this year. This Navy defense looks pretty good if you look at their season-long numbers. But check this out. On the entire season, do you want to know how many offenses Navy has seen that are ranked in the top 100 in terms of offenses? 2. They've played 2 top 100. Not top 25, not top 50. In the entire season, they've played 2 games against offenses ranked in the top 100 in college football. In those 2 games, against Notre Dame and Memphis, by the way, they're allowing 47.5 points per game. I believe it's 8 yards per play. So both times that Navy saw even a decent offense ranked in the top 100, they got absolutely smoked. So I don't think this is any different. I personally don't care that it's senior night or homecoming or whatever the hell is going on. So Tulane should win this one by double digits. I got Tulane minus 6.5. I paid some juice for it earlier in the week. But, yeah, I think Tulane absolutely rolls them. Now, will Navy be able to make some plays offensively and put some points up? Sure. I don't think Tulane's defense is going to shut them out. But you know what? On the defensive side of the ball, Tulane has earned my respect as well. They've been good. So, yeah, I like Tulane all the way here.
Yeah, I am on Navy. I know Tulane's just on fire right now. I actually made some money on them this year, and they've been great. I actually thought Tulane would win the AAC. They're definitely on the way to do that. If they win this game, they clinch a spot in the championship game against Army. And obviously, this game is everything to Navy as well. Navy wins their next 2 games. This one at East Carolina, which will be a tough one. They play in the championship, so it's a huge game for this conference. It's a great game in general. Just some quick records. The series is 12-12 and 1 all time, so it's perfectly split. Navy's won 6 of their last 7 against Tulane and 2 straight. I like Navy here. I made a bunch of money, like I said, tailing Tulane, but I think I like this game at home for Navy. Mensah's an all-right quarterback when they throw the ball, but Tulane's still a run-first offense, something that is a strength for Navy. They can shut down his rushing attack of Tulane, I think. Plus, Navy has a strong running game, too. They're 4th in the nation running the ball. It'll keep the clock moving. They'll control the clock. Really, that's a factor on both sides of the ball. Both teams have a strong run defense and strong rushing attack. But Navy won every game at home this year. That Notre Dame game, when they were the home team, was at MetLife in Jersey. So I think this game's going to be a close one throughout. I will take the points at home, especially because it's senior. You know, I love my senior day. So,
You love your senior day.
Yeah, since college basketball was in senior day.
Oh, yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Andy, are you going with your boy here?
Yeah. I will say I do think Michigan State's going to win. I'll start with that. Our bets go against each other here. I have the under. I think that this game's going to be slow, boring.
What? Well, actually, I can see Michigan State's defense playing well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be it's a very tough game to score. Illinois is usually better offensively and defensively at home. They're a much better team at home. They have very vast splits. But I just think that Aiden Childs has gotten consistent. He's doing a good job. So I think they'll be able to control the game. I think Illinois is going to want to run the ball a little bit in this game because I don't know that new Luke Altmaier is going to be able to throw here. I think he's been under pressure. Their O-line hasn't been as strong as I thought it was going to be. So I just think the under is going to hit here. I hope that the game's like 24-0 so that yours hits and mine doesn't. Mine hits. Wow. And I also think today is the day that I get my over on their season total and wins. I've been waiting for weeks. They've had the gauntlet of a schedule. That's finally over. They're finally playing a team that they're probably about evenly matched with. So, yeah, I think there's a low-scoring under game. Michigan State wins.
So are you on Michigan State as well? Just clarifying.
I'd be on them as well, yeah.
There you go.
Scoop?
Yeah, that Michigan State game last week was about how I expected it to be after the first quarter anyway. This is a hard one. I don't really like Illinois right now. They're playing pretty badly. I'd lean Illinois, though, especially at home. This is regardless of – Aiden Childs is definitely playing, right? This is regardless if he's playing or not. I don't think he's a huge factor here. I'm not in the Aiden Childs fan club like Andy. Maybe the line will go down even more. I don't know. So Illinois was in the driver's seat to start the season. The last 2 games, really, they looked pretty awful. We said it in college basketball and how big senior day is. This is senior day for Illinois. Michigan State really isn't that bad. They're in most of these games, and even though they're 1-3 on the road, they were in all those games except Oregon, but they played them pretty tough. But I don't trust Aiden Childs at all. 8 touchdowns, 11 picks. eight touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's great. Worst ratio in the Big Ten as a quarterback. And guess who has the best touchdown to interception ratio? That's Altmaier for Illinois. And in this game, Michigan State just gets so many dumb penalties. They're one of the most penalized teams in the country. Illinois is the 9th fewest in the country. I think otherwise there should be a defensive type of battle game where I just trust Illinois' offense way more than Michigan State and that trash quarterback, Aiden Childs.
So I disagree with almost everything said here on both sides. My bet is Michigan State team total over 22.5. And Aiden Childs looks like he's going to play, by the way. He practiced. He's set to play. And if he plays, I'll like this bet. I don't give a shit about senior day, senior night, whatever the hell, some made-up shit. I'm joking. I know people take that seriously. So, yes.
It's not important, trust me.
Yes. I understand that Aiden Childs has 11 interceptions on the year. 7 of them came in the first 4 games, his first 4 games as a freshman. And what I want people to focus on is the last 5 games specifically. Do you want to know who Aiden Childs, a freshman quarterback, has played? Indiana, at Michigan, Iowa, at Oregon, Ohio State. That might be the 5 best defenses in the Big Ten, back to back to back to back, 5 in a row. And in those 5 games, all in a row, he's only thrown 4 interceptions. So like most of his interceptions came early in his first few starts of his career. He's actually been playing well. He's been making throws against these elite defenses. Illinois is not an elite defense. In fact, there's been times where this Illinois defense has been terrible this year. So another thing, we're finally looking at a spot where we can see Aiden Childs have a solid day statistically, maybe even 240, 250 yards through the air, some efficiency, some consistency. But in addition to that, people forgot that Michigan State's got a real nice RB duo here. Yeah, when you play all these games in a row against Michigan, Iowa, Oregon, Ohio State, yeah, your rushing numbers are going to look bad. Michigan State's got 2 good RBs here. So they're going to be able to run the ball. Illinois does not have a good run defense. So Aiden Childs is going to have run support for the first time in about a month and a half. I like Michigan State to score points here. I think they win the game also. The reason I went with this bet instead of just taking Michigan State to win or plus the points, I don't really know how I feel about Altmaier against the Michigan State defense. I mean, Michigan State's defense has been okay, but Altmaier is capable of scoring points, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game is a little bit of a shootout. That's why I disagree with Andy's under. I think it goes over, but also I could also see Altmaier struggling. So I really don't know what I think about the Illinois offense against the Michigan State defense. I feel like that could go a number of ways, but I do like Michigan State to score points here in this one. So I'm on Michigan State team total over. I think the same line is available. I don't think this has moved, has it? Let me before I say that, let me confirm. Michigan State. Oh, it's at 23.5 now. No, you can still get you have to pay -120 for it, but it's still out there. I got -115, so it hasn't moved far here. All right, let's move on to the next one. Syracuse Cal. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
As much as I hate to trust Kyle McCord, I'm going to pick them here.
I feel like the line moving from 9 to 10 is kind of crazy. Because was that 9? Go ahead.
I just think 10's a bit too much. I mean, as much as Cal can score, Syracuse can go punch for punch with them, assuming McCord doesn't throw picks, which is a big ask. I know. I think Syracuse will make some adjustments here, especially on the defensive side. And that Boston College game, their offensive line and rushing attack just killed them. I don't think Cal has that line. Cal leads the ACC in defensive points per game, but I still think McCord can make the plays here to keep this game close. He really is hit or miss. He'll have one game with 4 picks and then another game where he posts 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. So Cal has a much better rush defense and a pass defense, so I like McCord to have one of those better games. He does lead the ACC, obviously, in yards per game with 350. Like I said before, Syracuse is terrible against the run, but Cal is 14th in the ACC in rushing yards per game. It's not their style of play. So Syracuse will have a chance to stay in this one, defending Mendoza. I just see this one as a back-and-forth type game. I think the line should be a one-possession game, personally, in which I may take Cal, probably -6.5. But getting more than a touchdown, especially more than a field goal on a touchdown, getting a touch. Yeah, with the team that's throwing the ball constantly, I'm going to take Syracuse on the road. It helps that the game's at 3 p.m. Eastern, so it offsets a bit of the early start traveling to the West Coast. So I'm going to take Syracuse. I'm going to put my faith in Kyle McCord. Kill me now. But, yeah.
I'm a little weirded out by this one because I agree with you. I would put this line at like 6.5. So when I saw it was at 9, I was like, wow, this line is suspiciously high. And then it moved to 10. And look, we're polling on Syracuse. People are betting Syracuse. So clearly there's some sharp action somewhere coming in on the other side, unless there's an injury that I couldn't find. Is there a Syracuse injury, Andy, that I'm missing?
No significant one, though.
So take the Syracuse down. I'm scared of this line, man. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know what we've seen from either of these teams to justify this line being double digits. Cal's look pretty good, not this good. And Syracuse, the only game where they lost by more than a score all season was the game where Kyle McCord threw 5 interceptions, 3 pick sixes. They didn't even get beat in that game. They beat themselves. So I don't see anything on paper that justifies this line being at 10. Which is kind of freaking me out. Why? Who is this sharp action coming in on the Cal side? I would love to hear. I would love to bring a guest on that has a large bet on Cal. I'll hear you out. I don't see any justification for laying double digits with Cal. So I don't know. I think Syracuse. Like I said, I think this line should be 6.5. So I mean, I guess over or pass. I don't know. I'm not betting this game. This whole game looks sketchy to me.
Yeah, the line is a little crazy to me. It keeps going up too. I thought at 8 it was too much, and now it's at 10. I think Syracuse could win the game outright. So far, Cal has faced a couple of good passing attacks. Obviously, it's the ACC, so there's not an overwhelming amount of them. I'm considering CJ Bailey and NC State a good one right now because, I mean, they have been recently. They had a very successful game on Cal. Miami obviously blew the doors off of them in terms of the passing attack. They did nearly lose the game. They threw all over them. And then Bachmeier got a little bit done against them last week. So they've had trouble with good passing attacks. And obviously Syracuse is that when he's not throwing the ball to the other team. The only issue is Cal earlier in the year had the game against Peyton Thorne where he threw like a bunch of interceptions against them. So they are a team that can have interceptions and are prone to being able to be ball hawks in that way. But I'm not betting on a guy throwing interceptions. I know it's crazy because he does throw a lot of them. Like, I think he'll be fine. So I think Syracuse could win this game, very, very well win this game. Laying 10 points with Cal, even at home, is crazy. They're not that good. They're decent. But Syracuse has shown when they're at their best, they're a very competitive team and a very good team. So, yeah, I'm going to take Syracuse.
I'm good. Over or pass. Next.
I'm good.
Penn State, Purdue. Is 30 enough?
Yeah, I mean,
I have nothing to say. I mean, Purdue has a poor defensive front seven, and Penn State is going to run the ball with their 2 RBs. I don't know how Purdue's defense gets off the field once in this game. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to say about this?
I like the team total for Purdue under 9.5. Listen, Oregon, Ohio State both shut them out this season. Now they're playing another of those upper echelon teams in the Big Ten. Notre Dame, they scored 7, Wisconsin 6. Like I said, Oregon and Ohio State were the shutouts. Nebraska, they barely got to 10 after being shut out at half. And the Illinois game was the only anomaly on their schedule. Penn State just kept Washington to 6. Illinois scored 7. But looking throughout their schedule, they haven't played a team as bad offensively as Purdue since Kent State, where they won 56-0. So I think this defense can definitely hold Purdue to under 10 points. Purdue is 120th in total offense, 127th in scoring offense, and this is with that Illinois game where they scored 49 points. Yeah, Purdue won't be able to do the thing they actually excel at, which is toss plays and getting the run plays to the outside, because they're terrible running up the middle. But with Penn State's ends and linebackers, who are much faster than this whole Purdue team, pretty much the whole offense, they don't have the production to do much of anything against this Penn State defensive front. I don't really trust the spread with Penn State. 30 is a lot, just because it really does look like they struggle sometimes offensively on teams they should beat up. But it should be a comfortable win. But I definitely like the defense to have an easy time over the worst Big Ten offense.
People in the comments are legitimately saying Penn State money line, and I thought they were kidding, but I think they're serious. Andy.
I'd be on Purdue here. I think they can cover this number. Penn State this year has had a few of these games where they were heavy favorites. Obviously, the Bowling Green one was ages ago, but they didn't cover that. That was a 35.5 point line. They almost lost. Bowling Green's probably better than Purdue, but UCLA, they were 29.5 point favorites. They nearly lost that one too. They won that one 27-11. They're not very good at covering these numbers. The only high number they covered this year was when they were 49 point favorites against Kent State. Kent State is the worst team in college football, so obviously they're going to cover that one. So I know 30 points is quite high, and also Penn State's coming off just routing Washington. They took them to the woodshed, and we know how good Washington is, so it should be a spot where they could just blow the doors off of them. But I think Purdue could be competitive here. We've seen Purdue have a few of these games. Illinois more the one that comes to mind. They weren't getting blown out that bad against Oregon until late in the game when Dan Lanning kept scoring. So that they've had a couple of good ones. We've seen in the past that Purdue is not an easy place to go this late in the season. So maybe that's the environment part. Football wise, they probably should lose by 50, but I think that they can be competitive in Penn State. Penn State's just cruising at this point. They can't trip up. I think this is a game where maybe they could play close for the first half.
Pass. Next. Virginia Notre Dame. I personally think Notre Dame beats the life out of them and covers. I'm a little worried because Virginia does have a backdoor cover in their resume for this year against Clemson, where you look at the final score, you're like, oh, that was somewhat close. It was a 16-point final score, and it wasn't. Virginia has a passing attack, and against Notre Dame's second unit late, I don't even know if Notre Dame's going to let that happen, though. I don't know if they're going to take their foot off the pedal. Virginia's defensive front has been pretty good this year. The problem is both times they've seen good offenses. It was Louisville and what was the other good offense they played? Louisville and Clemson. So both times they saw legitimate offenses, they got steamrolled. 5.47 yards per carry, 52% success rate per rush. So Notre Dame belongs in a category with those two offenses. In fact, just in terms of a rushing attack, I'll probably put Notre Dame a step above in terms of a rushing attack. So Notre Dame's going to hand the ball off, and Virginia's defense, probably not a damn thing they could do about it. On the other side of the ball, Calandria and this Virginia passing attack, they started off the season looking pretty sharp, but really it's been a bit underwhelming. They have played a strong schedule, but I mean, Calandria has struggled with his offensive line. The pass protection hasn't been good for Virginia, and this Notre Dame pass rush, as we know, is elite. So he should be under a lot of pressure in this game. Virginia doesn't have a consistent run game that I trust. There's not enough here for Virginia to make me take the plus 22.5. If you like Virginia, in my opinion, you're looking at the back door, but I didn't bet this game, so I don't want to take a ton of time talking about it.
Virginia had a really solid win against Pitt. Mostly their defense did the job there. Calandria threw 2 picks, which is typical for him. But yeah, the defense kept them in it, and knocking out Holstein probably won the game for them. Yarnell looked awful back there, like we talked about earlier. Virginia shouldn't have won that game. Now they travel to Notre Dame, who I don't think is an amazing team. The hardest game was the beginning of the season, but they're putting away these teams like Georgia Tech, Louisville. Virginia's kind of that same realm of teams. I'll lay the points as much as I don't want to. Calandria's a small game merchant. This is big boy time for him. Notre Dame has the top EPA per pass on defense, second in success rate. I think they're going to get to him a lot here. Notre Dame has a ridiculous pressure and sack rate. Virginia doesn't have much of a run game either. Brown and Pace are okay, but Notre Dame can also stop the run game pretty easily. Not to mention on the other side of the ball, Virginia's run defense is absolute garbage. 118th in EPA per rush. Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love, Price, these guys should have a field day on Virginia's defense. If Calandria throws 2 picks against Pitt, he may go for 4 here. He doesn't play well against solid teams. I don't want to pick Notre Dame because these numbers are mostly because of them playing teams like Virginia, but for now, I'll back them. I'm excited to bet against them in the college football playoffs, though.
Lil Drew?
The only reason you would take Virginia here would be the look-ahead spot because Notre Dame has Army on deck, but Notre Dame plays this schedule, and that I can't believe I just said that sentence, Army on deck, and that's like a big game. But Notre Dame pretty much plays a copy and paste schedule every year. So they're prepared for all these games anyway. They're an independent, so they have games where they play ACC school, then they play an independent, ACC school, Army. That's just how they are. So they're always prepared for this time of year. So I don't think that'll be an issue. He just brought it up. My big reasoning here is Virginia can't stop the run to save their lives. And now you're facing the rush attack in college football. So, yeah, I'm all over Notre Dame here. It would take a unbelievable performance from Calandria, something we haven't seen a team throw on Notre Dame since Northern Illinois did it week 2. That was a long time ago. So we've seen quarterbacks try, and we've seen some decent ones, not great, but nobody's been able to figure it out. I have a hard time believing Calandria is going to be the one to figure it out.
Yeah, and Calandria, like I said before, he hasn't even been playing that well. So
I love my goat, Calandria.
You just call Calandria my goat?
He's my best friend.
Aiden
I hung out with that guy.
Calandria. Billy Edwards is right there too. They all suck. That's the thing.
Incoming blowout here.
Blowout.
I mean, SMU should beat him by a lot, right?
They should.
Yeah.
For those of you that hadn't heard,
quarterback magic.
So
Yeah.
did anyone find any more details on what exactly happened? So Castellanos got benched and then immediately entered the portal.
Yeah, it's the end of Thomas Castellanos. He's probably, he's going to enter the transfer.
But why
portal
did he get benched? Why did he get benched?
It's Bill O'Brien. I don't know. He just doesn't like him anymore.
I mean, he hasn't been. Yes,
he was god awful last week. So they benched, and Grayson James came in and was pretty good. So
the problem is he's going to be good somewhere else. Bill O'Brien isn't using him as a runner, which really is one of the best parts of his game.
It's the only good part.
Yeah. So now Grayson James is in. I mean, he's pretty. He was very average with FIU. He had 13 touchdowns, 12 picks. He only has like a 58% completion percentage. He doesn't scramble at all. He's a pure pocket passer. So it really just becomes a Boston College who really is going to be a run-first type game, though. I'm not sure if Deshaun Ward is playing. Either way, they have a bunch of runners here. I don't think they're going to do much against SMU's defense. SMU's defensive problems is their pass defense. Against the run, their team's a top 5 run defense, so that plays right into SMU's hands. And Kevin Jennings has been great. He's kind of like Kyle McCord, but less interceptions and slightly less yards per game. He's still posting over 250 yards passing a game, and Brashad Smith has been awesome as their running back. I don't see any type of momentum for Boston College here after Castellanos is out. Grayson James hasn't shown anything yet. I get Boston College hasn't been blown out, really, except that Virginia Tech game, but I find it hard to believe how they can come close to 20 points here. If anything, I'd lean a Boston College team total under 16 and a half. That's about even money, under 16 and a half. So I just see Boston College as being completely one-dimensional here and against an SMU team who could stop the run, one of the best in the country. So, yeah, definitely SMU or Boston College team total.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you just said. I'm not sure what we're expecting from Boston College offensively in this game. This is a team that they're high in rushing frequency, so they've been trying to run the ball. They haven't been successful. They ran the ball against Syracuse. That was their first successful rushing attack in like 2 months. They haven't been able to run the ball. They've been trying all season, and they haven't been able to run the football. How are they going to run it on the road at SMU? I mean, this is, like Scoop said, their numbers against the run this year are insane. This is one of the toughest defensive fronts in college football. As crazy as that sounds, yes, you can question the competition a bit, but nobody's running the ball on SMU, which means for Boston College to score points in this game, you're pointing at Grayson James and saying, go out there. I need you to throw for 280. Maybe he can do it. I don't know. It would only be SMU for me here. I didn't bet it. I don't know how this number is staying low. I mean, it was at 19.5. It looks like it got bet down. I don't know how this number hasn't hit 21. So I don't like betting the big lines unless I really love it. So SMU minus the points or pass. I personally didn't bet it.
Yeah, they're just relying on Boston College's defense to do something, but I don't think offensively they're not going to hang with them. So
yeah, I mean, Boston College team totals at 16.5. SMU's averaging like 40 points a game. I don't. Yeah. Boston College defense, by the way, has also played significantly worse on the road this year. Boston College defensively at home, okay, maybe I could hear you out, but their defense on the road at SMU, down there in SMU, I don't know how they're able to stop this offense. So, Andy?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I would love, this feels like a spot where like the ACC team's cruising, or that one of the top teams in the ACC is cruising, and maybe they get picked off, but by a backup quarterback. But like BC doesn't have the offense to work in this game. Like you have to be able to, okay, you can't run the ball, then you have to be able to throw. They threw for 65 yards last week on Syracuse. That's not like you can't match that. And that most of that was Grayson James coming in, and they weren't prepared for him. Like SMU has had a week to prepare. They knew who the starting quarterback was going to be. They already know they're going to be able to stop the run. So yeah, I don't necessarily see a scenario in which BC can keep this one close. I know 18 you're basically asking 3 touchdowns at that point, so that is a lot. SMU isn't. I think the last team SMU blew out was Pitt, right? Pitt's significantly better than BC, so like everything tells you SMU should blow them out here. So I don't know what I'm missing, but yeah, SMU.
Yeah, I like what Scoop said. The team total. Problem is in these SMU games, there's usually a lot of possessions because they score quickly. So that could screw that up. But yeah, let's go on to the next game. Screw this.
I think Castellanos going to go to like an AAC school and just be like awesome, like a top 10 quarterback.
Let's move on to LSU, Florida. All right, Scoop, it's your favorite bet of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I know LSU got boat race last game. That wasn't even close. But lucky for them, they play Florida here. I don't even know who's playing quarterback for Florida anymore.
I think it's Lagway. It's
I
Lagway.
feel like they played 6 different ones this season. I mean, they did start a Yale transfer against Texas, so you wouldn't expect much barrier. But listen, if Lagway's playing, I still like LSU. They got really embarrassed last game. I mean, Milrow ran for over 200 yards, almost 200 yards, which is ridiculous. He had 4 touchdowns. I just think this line's way too small. I mean, you can see why back-to-back pretty much blowout losses. I know Florida's better defending the pass than the run, but come on, there's no way Florida's defense is that good. I'm sorry. Even though they played better against the pass, they're still 60th in EPA per drop back. They're 122nd in EPA per rush defensively, so you'd have to think LSU would take advantage of that. I know they rely on Nussmeier, but come on, you got Caden Durham back there. Brian Kelly can't be that dumb, I would hope. I mean, I don't like Brian Kelly as a coach in general, but I do think, I mean, Caden Durham's great. You got to use him. Even if Lagway plays, he has a hamstring issue. Hamstring issues are tricky. I'm not putting my faith in Aiden Warner if he's playing. Florida's not a good team. Lagway, I think the other game, he had like 8 completions for 200 yards. So LSU secondary is not going to give up big chunk yardage like that in the air anyway. On the ground, I don't really trust them much. But I don't think Lagway's a very good quarterback. I've been burned by LSU this year a bunch of times, but I find it hard to see them not winning by more than 4 here personally.
Andrew?
Florida's going to save us from having to watch that shitbag coach another SEC championship. This is a great spot for Florida. Not stop running quarterbacks. Now, I know what you're going to say to that. Lagway's hindered by the hamstring injury. This is all based on the fact that Lagway's playing, and they said he's good to go, ready to fully play like he was against Georgia. He was running all over Georgia, and he's run all over a lot of teams. LSU has now had back-to-back big games. Marcel Reed ran all over him. Jalen Milrow ran all over him. So what shows you that they're going to stop Lagway from running all over them and this team from running all over them, right? Like Florida looked so bad with Aiden Warner because they couldn't do anything. But when their offense looked good, it was against Georgia. It was against some of the other teams they played when Lagway was playing. Lagway can run, and LSU can't stop a running quarterback. So that's a great spot there. And then you have on the other side, obviously, Florida's defense has gotten lit up a little bit lately. And now they're going up against a team that just got their asses kicked at home. So it would be a good spot. But on the road in the swamp is not an easy place to go, no matter how bad they are. So I don't necessarily think that Nussmeier, who has been really bad lately, is going to all of a sudden come in and play great here. So I think this is a great spot for Florida.
Yeah. All right. So at 4.5, this was a pass. When it got down to 3.5, I said screw it and put a few dollars on LSU. Super square bet. I mean, everyone's going to be taking LSU. The number just got too low. Yes, you're right. Lagway's probably going to be able to make some plays with his legs against this LSU defense. They had no response to Milrow last week. I will say Lagway is not Milrow. Milrow's one of the better talents in college football, not just as a runner, just as an overall threat at the quarterback position. DJ Lagway is a freshman. He's not Jalen Milrow. And number 2, okay, Lagway's going to make some plays. You still got to keep up. We're talking about 3.5. This number's just too short. 3.5. I guess we're all just selling our stock in that. Well, I shouldn't say we're all. Everyone's betting LSU. But I'm talking about the market keeping this number down to 3.5. In fact, betting it down to 3.5. I guess some of these sharps out here are selling their stock in the LSU offense based on rainy ass game against Alabama. I mean, the weather was shitty and LSU needs to throw the ball. Certainly not an accurate representation of what we know this LSU offense to be. They have an elite pass protection. They fling it. So, okay, Lagway's going to make some plays with his legs. Do you trust him to keep up with LSU? They should light Florida's secondary up. Maybe Florida's able to limit the rushing because LSU not a great run team. This is not I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. This is not a big bet of mine. It's one of the most square bets on the board. I kind of hate it, but I don't see how you don't take LSU. We're 3.5. That's a super short line. Not to mention, this Florida team's going to quit on Billy soon. Maybe it's this one.
They're not quitting on Billy. No.
You're literally the president of the Billy Napier hate.
I hate
club.
Billy Napier, but they have announced he's going to be there, so they better. If they don't want to play for him, then just leave now because he's still going to be there. I love that they're keeping him.
Even Todd Golden is a better Florida coach, and he has problems right now.
Billy Napier has the best job security of Florida, dude.
All right, wait. Does it still say
People
excellent
keep
connection?
saying that.
It's a YouTube issue.
I think
it's freezing on YouTube side.
I think it will freeze momentarily. You just need to, I guess, refresh and come back. I don't really know what that is. I don't know why I keep getting blamed. I don't know why a producer would momentarily buffer their own stream.
Yeah, as if we did it. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Louisville at Stanford.
Heater.
It's a tough Saturday, man. It's a tough Saturday. If I was betting this one, I'd be taking a stab on Stanford. Louisville's defense hasn't 100% looked correct. Now, I know they've played some tough offenses for sure, and that wouldn't describe Stanford. Well, first of all, why the line's at 20.5 on the road at Stanford? Because the reason for that is there's nothing on paper that indicates Stanford's defense is able to make stops against the Louisville passing attack. I mean, Tyler Shuck should have clean pockets to throw from. He's had a solid season. Stanford's secondary has been terrible. They have terrible numbers against the pass. So trying to isolate, trying to find an angle for Stanford to make stops in this game is challenging for sure. But on the other side of the ball, I think there's some value in Stanford being able to stay on the field, moving the chains, and just chewing some of the clock. The reason I lean towards it's Stanford for me. I didn't bet this one, but the reason I lean towards that side is the run game has finally showed up for Stanford. It looks like that Stanford offensive line. Remember, they brought back all 5 starters from last year. Granted, they were one of the worst offensive lines in college football last year, but they did bring back all 5 starters. So it looks like we're finally seeing that offensive line starting to gel. They're starting to run the ball the last couple weeks. And offensively, this Stanford team might be in a better spot right now than they've been for most of the year. Remember, Ashton Daniels was banged up in there. So now at home with a run game that's starting to brew, Ashton Daniels finally with some run support. Louisville's defense, by the way, hasn't looked that great. I believe they're allowing over 33 points per game in their last 3. Now, I believe one of those games was Miami, so a little bit tongue-in-cheek there. But truly, I think Stanford's going to be able to run the ball a little bit in this game. And 20.5 on the road against a team I think is going to be able to move the ball a little bit. I'm not betting it, but it'll be Stanford plus the 20.5 for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I feel the same way. I think the run game's finally there. A little bit of a pass rush here for Stanford. Louisville's O-line's been awful. I think if they can pressure Shug, he's still good. I mean, he's really good overall. He's had a great season. Good for him. But he's a slight worse quarterback under pressure. Obviously, most quarterbacks are. So on the road, there probably won't be anybody at this game. Nobody's been showing up to Stanford games all year. So it'll be an empty, boring stadium. I don't think it's a spot where you're going to get a blowout. I think they'll keep it close. Weird environment, and a pass rush can keep them in the game. So, yeah, I like Stanford.
Scoop?
I'm on Louisville. You think that this far in the season you kind of know what a team is. I still really don't know about Louisville. Especially their defense. They're giving up so many points, but I can't back Stanford. They're honestly so bad. This is the first time these two played each other, which is pretty crazy. But I do love Tyler Shaw. He has 2,500 yards. I'm not trusting Ashton Daniels either. Mostly I'm not trusting that Stanford defense. They did give up 59 points to NC State, which is wild. Louisville's coming off that huge Clemson win, I know, so it might be a little hangover from that. Not only has Stanford not won lately, they haven't covered a game since Syracuse in September. They also haven't lost to a team less than 21 points, except that Wake Forest game. Isaac Brown, too, true freshman, who's definitely going to be someone to watch going forward the next few years. He has over 800 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. He's not going to be stopped by Stanford. Not only that, but their starting running back, Maurice Turner, might be back for this one, too. So that's going to give him a solid 1-2 punch running the ball, which gives Shaw even more weapons. I like Louisville here. Stanford's 123rd in sacks allowed, second to last in tackles for loss allowed, bottom 10 in interceptions. They're the 4th worst yards per completion, and their running game is the best part of their team, which ranks as a high 93rd in the country. So, although Louisville's defense is pretty garbage, there's no one on Stanford that scares me to keep this game close.
Well, you're going to learn. Next.
I'm going to learn today.
Yep.
Scoop loves the Huskers here. Loves them.
I don't love the Huskers.
He guaranteed a Huskers win.
Did not do that at all. Not one time have I said those words.
You do like Nebraska, though.
I do. Yeah, these teams are really struggling. I know that. Nebraska lost their last 3. USC lost 4 of their last 5. And against Washington, which really isn't a great team this year. But like I said to Andy, I'm never going to disrespect Washington again. Apparently, every time I bet against them, they're an awesome team. So, I mean, listen, Raiola has been like a very average quarterback. He's a true freshman. He'll grow, but he definitely doesn't look great so far. He did play Indiana and Ohio State, so 2 of those are really difficult the last 3. And now Matt Rule added Holgerson to call plays for the last 3 games of the season, so a brand new play caller for this game. I really don't know how it's going to go. They have a new offensive coordinator, so apparently it was to keep Raiola happy and not transfer, to be honest, after the season. So it's just going to be hard to see how the offense responds to the new play calling, but it's not going to be worse than what Satterfield has been doing the last couple of weeks for Nebraska. He's been awful, so I'm just not sure the play calling, but I agree. I think the talent level is there for Nebraska. I like Nebraska here on the road. Both teams aren't great. On the other side, Miller Moss is benched now too for Jaden Mayava is starting dual threat quarterback. He may be better than Miller Moss, but I'm going to take the team with the steady quarterback. I still think they have great weapons. Mayava may have some rust. He hasn't played a game since the UNLV game last year, so. Either way, USC's pass defense is pretty bad anyway, so just a bad defense in general. Nebraska's defense is also just way better, so I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the new offense. Hopefully, 7.5 is a lot for USC, which is struggling themselves. So,
as far as a side, I guess I'd slightly lean that way, but I'm looking at the total. Why is this so high? What is this total doing at 51.5? I don't understand. How is this getting to 51.5? Nebraska's offense has been absolutely terrible. The run game's been a disappointment since like week 3. They haven't been able to run the ball in like 2 months. USC's been pretty tough against the run. I don't expect that a West Coast road trip. Remember, we've seen these offenses, these Big Ten offenses struggle making these cross-country road trips, we should say. So Nebraska flying across the country against a USC defense that's been pretty good. I don't expect them to snap their slump. Raiola's been, I don't want to say terrible. He's a freshman, but he looked a lot better in the first few games than he's looked in the last 4 or 5 games. That's for sure. I don't trust this Nebraska offense at all. So I don't know how is this getting to 51.5. And then on the other side, you got USC benching the quarterback, a new quarterback in there against Nebraska's defensive front. I was just talking shit about the Nebraska offense, but defense travels, and Nebraska's defense has earned my respect. They have a very good pass rush, maybe even a top 15, top 20 pass rush in the country. You got a new quarterback in there, Mayava. He had some decent numbers last year with UNLV, but let me tell you, it's a lot different throwing on Big Ten defenses than it is throwing on Mountain West defenses. So you throw Mayava in there with this Nebraska pass rush. Also, Nebraska's tough against the run. USC's seem to have gotten the run going in the last few weeks. I don't really expect that to be there. They were able to run the ball in Washington. Sweet. Washington's been struggling to stop the run all year. This is Nebraska. They have a strong defensive front. So Nebraska's going to be able to limit USC from running the ball. They should be able to pressure Mayava. I don't see how this gets to 51.5. The total almost doesn't make sense to me. Under. I think we're looking at a 20-14 game. I truly think it stays way under. 20-14 USC wins, Nebraska covers.
I really like Nebraska today. I think I put them in a money line parlay with San Jose State today. I think they both can pull upsets. Those are my 2 upsets today. I get the the run game has gotten there for USC, and that's kind of the big point. That's why everybody trusts them so much maybe in this game, because when you bench your quarterback, you need to at least have a run game to lean on. And Maya's good. He was originally going to transfer to Georgia, and he went to USC because he wanted to play. He got his opportunity. This is his opportunity, but it's a big step up from what he was facing. He was facing Mountain West defenses last year at UNLV. This is a really good Big Ten defense and a well-coached team. So I don't think it's a good situation for him to be going into here. This is not a good first game to play. It's a tough defense. He's going to be under pressure a little bit. I don't think his run game is going to be there for him, right? Rutgers and Washington were the two teams they got the run game going on. That's not impressive. So I don't like that. And on the other side, Raiola's been pretty bad lately, but he's getting better. He's not good yet, but he will get there. But I think that they'll be able to run a little bit here and at least get enough to keep it close. I do think it's going to be low scoring. If there was a game that I would say is not going to be a shootout today, it's probably this one. Probably going to be a boring run first game for these teams. So yeah, I really like Nebraska to pull the upset here.
So Proppy for putting Nebraska up. I don't know. I think Nebraska probably covers under. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Andy, someone asked Alabama Mercer. What do you think about that one? Really quick?
Andy, you want to talk about Alabama Mercer? Speaking of which, Andy, why didn't you throw South Alabama Louisiana on the lineup for today? It's a good game.
Great question.
Are you discriminating against the Sun Belt?
He just doesn't like the Sun Belt.
Do you have a bet?
I love South Alabama. I think they're live. Just discriminating against the belt. All right. So anyway,
that's what they call it. They call it the belt.
Andy hates the belt. So all right, Baylor, West Virginia, but really, I do like South Alabama plus 7.5. I don't understand how it moved up to 7.5. I think that line should be 4.5. South Alabama should be able to score on Louisiana's defense, which is terrible. Yeah, Louisiana's going to score a bunch of points, but it's a shootout and should be more than a touchdown. So I'm on South Alabama. You guys won't be able to see it or the graphics because Andy hates the belt. But let's get into Baylor, West Virginia. Andy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Did you see the news in this one? Garrett Green's starting.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, he is.
Like, if you didn't see that and run to the window to take Baylor or run to your phone to take Baylor,
Baylor.
Nico was playing well, and Garrett Green's now healthy, and they're playing him. I don't know why. Neil Brown's an idiot. This is stupid. I was gonna come up here and be like, oh, West Virginia, at least this is a good game at home. If you're going back to Garrett Green, and look, Garrett Green's fine, but the kid was playing so well. The energy in West Virginia had flipped. Looked like they were playing for something here. They looked like they were playing well. Now you have Baylor, who I think is going to throw all over them. This West Virginia team has gotten thrown on by everybody, and Sawyer Robertson apparently is a good quarterback now. So I think Baylor's going to throw all over them. They don't have anything to counter that now. I think this West Virginia offense is going to revert back to the crap they were before Nico. They didn't have any energy on offense. They were playing slow lulls. They were getting in bad situations. Now they're getting back to that. So I love Baylor now that Garrett Green's playing.
Wrong. Everything. So much of what you said is skewed. Scoop, do you want to talk some sense?
Scoop? Yeah, Scoop's gonna say something here. Listen, this spread was a bit off for books. Some had it at 1, then it was 2.5, and now it's back to 1. Probably because of the Garrett Green things. But both teams are 5-4. Baylor riding a 3-game win streak though, and really it's 3 solid wins for them. Well, maybe not Oklahoma State. Fuck that team. But West Virginia beat a struggling Arizona and Cincy, and both were away. They're actually a better team than I thought they would be this year. The thing with Baylor, too, is they've covered all 3 of their games as well. Not sure if Bryson Washington's the real deal for Baylor's running game. It's something they really needed. But, yeah, like Andy said, the real thing here is Garrett Green's going to be back here. It doesn't really worry me with him throwing the ball. He's not good at it. He does have a solid rushing. He's a solid rushing quarterback. Either way, I'm taking Baylor mainly because they can take advantage of West Virginia's defense. Like Andy said, Sawyer Robertson has been awesome since taking over for DeQuan Finn. Last game, he had a bit of a down game, but West Virginia is 117th defending the pass. So with a running game, hopefully that's finally coming for Baylor. Baylor could definitely mix it up. West Virginia also doesn't create much pressure and definitely doesn't create any turnovers. Baylor's averaging 45 points these last 3 games. I think they'll continue to score on a bad West Virginia side. Plus, their run defense is pretty solid as well. So if Green plays, it's still a solid matchup for Baylor. So I'm definitely taking Baylor on the road here.
Adorable.
Thank you.
Do you guys want? When do you? I want you guys to guess. When do you think the last time Baylor beat West Virginia in Morgantown? Guess a year. 1900 never. They've never once won here, ever. They're 0-5 lifetime in Morgantown, about to be 0-6. I mean, you guys talked about Sawyer Robertson, and you're treating him like some kind of god and completely leaving out the fact that, hey, I was.
Sorry.
He,
It's early for me, too.
Already, he hated your argument right
what
away.
What the
He's
hell
like,
was that?
I just thought it was
Get
such
outta
a
here
piss
with your
pick.
shit.
As
Did
soon
he
as
just switch to the next game?
Yeah, as soon as Garrett Green was in the lineup, I just knew Baylor was the
Yeah,
side.
it was over. This is terrible.
I don't even know college ball, and I just know Garrett
Green's
Green
fine.
ties a
Okay.
fade.
So, yes, you guys are worshiping Sawyer Robertson and completely leaving out the fact that his team averaged 7.5 yards per carry in those 3 games. Shocker. It's easier to play quarterback when your RB is averaging 7.5 yards per carry. They played Oklahoma State, the worst defense in the conference, Texas Tech, pretty bad defense, and TCU, who's actually been playing some better defense, but still by no means a top defense in the Big 12. Now they go on the road to Morgantown, and you're not going to hear me sit here and tell you that this West Virginia defense is good. But what are they good at, Scoop? Tell them. They're good at stopping the run.
I'm helping you.
This is so they're good at stopping the run. So now we're going to see what Sawyer Robertson really looks like when his RBs are not averaging 7.5 yards per carry. This West Virginia defense might be a top 25 run defense. So Sawyer Robertson on the road without run support, you're going to see his numbers looking from 9.8 yards per attempt to all of a sudden throwing picks. I think Sawyer Robertson throws at least 1, maybe 2 interceptions in this game. Garrett Green, everyone's hating on him. Yeah, West Virginia might struggle to run against Baylor's defense. I also would lean under West Virginia wins next.
They were a touchdown worse in Garrett Green's last 3 games than they were in the 2 games that, I don't know how to say his last name, but Nico played.
Someone says
they're back to that. That's what they're getting back to.
So someone said, Sauce, you just stated the reason to take Baylor. If they've never won, why is the line plus 2.5? Because Baylor's been significantly better than West Virginia. What do you mean? That's why the line's 2.
I can't believe
they're laying points because they've been way better. In fact, probably should be more than 3 if you're using this reverse psychology thing. All right, next up. Oh,
Andy
we're in the bell?
Yeah, Andy hates the
Oh,
bell.
man.
Really
We're
quiet.
in the bell? Andy does like the bell after all. So, Andy, you like this belt game?
I will say this is not the game that I feel the strongest about, but I do like ODU. They've played better since they changed their quarterback. I think James Madison, they're a good team, but I don't think that they're going to be as good on the road here in this one. It's a weird time for this one. Midday game in the Sun Belt. I know a lot of those games are usually weekdays. Yeah, it really to me just comes down to I think Old Dominion can score. So I definitely don't like it as much as you guys. You guys will be able to give better information, but I would be on ODU.
Yeah, James Madison's been cashing for me. I'm going to go with them again. I just think that there was an altogether better offense. The Monarchs just aren't a great defending team right now. They're giving up 150 yards per game on the ground, and Lonzo Bennett can definitely throw the ball. He's been doing good all year and taking care of the ball, too. He has 21 touchdowns, only 2 picks. I know James Madison's 2 losses were on the road. Their last 2 road games, Georgia Southern and Louisiana Monroe. I think this is just the time they're going to win on the road. They're only allowing 321 yards a game, 16 points a game. They're going to give Old Dominion some problems defensively. I really am impressed with James Madison this year. I had them pegged for a pretty down year because they had a massive amount of turnover, but they've been great. I know they pretty much blew their chance at the Sun Belt title against, again with that Georgia Southern loss, but they're still going to another bowl game, which is impressive for what they have. James Madison will roll here. I think they give them a big road win against Old Dominion. So I just don't trust Old Dominion's defense.
TWD in the comments says he's going to this game. I'm actually shocked that he's allowed within 100 yards within the institution. Personally,
college kids,
you're allowed.
yeah.
You're allowed. Wow. Someone needs to tighten up his restraining order. James Madison on the road at Old Dominion. I lean towards Old Dominion. But I really want a full 3. James Madison's last 2 road games didn't look very sharp. Scoop, did you see that?
Yeah, I said that. Thank you.
James Madison's last 2 games on the road, they lost to Georgia Southern by 2 touchdowns and lost to Louisiana Monroe. Old Dominion.
Said that too. Thank you for telling me.
All right, just go to the next freaking game then. I'll play Old Dominion at 3. TWD's going to this game, he said.
I want to hear your analysis. What happened?
I don't like the game. I like Old Dominion at +3. I like that quarterback. But it's tough. It's a short number to fade James Madison. Obviously, they're a much better team. Andy, I also lean under in that game as well because I think both teams are going to try to run the ball. So I know they've played some high-scoring games, so a lot of people think it's going to go over. I think that stays under. Anyway, Missouri, South Carolina. Go, Andy. You're muted.
What a jerk.
Andy, you're muted, dude.
You're muted, Andy. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
He got nervous.
I believe in Drew Pine because he had a good game against Oklahoma. Good defense. They suck, but their defense is good. It feels like a great high spot here on South Carolina, right? They're playing about as perfect as you could play, right? They blew out Vanderbilt, everybody's favorite darling Vanderbilt. Blew them out, wiped the floor with them, and then they also beat A&M 2 weeks before that. So feel like they feel comfortable, they feel good. The only problem is Missouri going to be able to do anything in this game on offense? Like they are not only are they on their backup quarterback Pine, although I know Cook is going to go through warm-ups and everything, I think, but I don't think he's playing. It's going to be Pine, who looked good against Oklahoma, but against Alabama and a good pass rush, he looked god-awful. And he's facing the best pass rush in the SEC. I really don't think they're going to be able to get anything. And plus, this is a pretty decent run defense, too. So they're not going to be able to run the ball either. So I would have to lean South Carolina, but I really don't like it because at this number, it feels like Missouri should cover, but they're just not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, and it's not just that. The injuries, there's a lot of injuries to Missouri right now. Drew Pine's not playing in this game, right? I'm pretty sure the QB4 is starting. They're also missing, I believe, their best offensive lineman in the game. Missouri's a mess right now. Not only were they playing terribly before all the injuries, but now you add on all the injuries, and I'm not laying 13.5 points with South Carolina because I don't think their offense is very good, but Andy's right. What is Missouri going to do offensively in this game? I trust the South Carolina pass rush. I trust the run defense. Missouri's offense is terrible. On the road, the South Carolina team has momentum. Honestly, if I was to place a bet in this game, type this up, Prop Beaver. Someone get me the odds. What is Missouri alt team total under 3.5? What is someone get me the odds on that?
Brady Cook might start.
No, he was doubtful.
Yeah, now he's a true game time decision, and there's an expectation that he might start today.
What?
Yeah.
All right, so he started against Alabama too, and he wasn't ready. They're just.
I didn't say anything. I'm just saying that's.
Are they just trying to ruin his career? Why do they keep doing this?
I don't understand. They did it against Alabama, and it blew that game. They tried to play him against Alabama. The guy clearly wasn't ready. They're doing that again against the.
I mean, they also say that, and then 5 minutes before the game, they're like, Drew Pine starting.
Wait, hold on. Wait, someone's saying Drew Pine is playing in the comments. I thought Drew Pine was doubtful.
Drew Pine might play. Brady Cook is questionable now. He got upgraded to questionable.
Man, it's a good thing I didn't bet this game because they're playing games with the injury report, this Mizzou team.
Yeah, Drinkwitz is an asshole.
Yeah, I'm on Missouri. I mean, I got to give the Cox credit. They look way better than I thought they would this year. Lenore Seller is showing great ball security, and credit to that offensive line. They have been great cock blockers for him, getting him time to throw. I just think the line's a bit too much. Shane Beamer has never beaten Missouri. This should be a close game until the fourth quarter, I feel. This kind of has a Tulsa, East Carolina-esque game to it, I think. I mean, the reason why the spread is so high is obviously Missouri. They have no idea with their quarterback. I don't know if Brady Cook's starting. I don't know if Drew Pine's starting. I don't know who's starting there. So it might be their third-string quarterback. It might be the fourth. It might be their first. Brady Cook's going to feel it out. See if he's going to go. I mean, it's common these days that he's hurt and going to play. Drew Pine's going to play probably. I would say so. But this is going to be one of the best defenses in the country with Missouri against Lenore Sellers, which I know I just complimented him. I still don't think he's that great. He's on a hot streak. And though I said the cock blockers, like I said before, has been solid, they do have issues with dominant pass rushers. That's something Missouri definitely has. And more importantly, Missouri's solid against the run. I just think Missouri's defense is going to keep them throughout this game. I know their offense probably won't, like you guys said, but I really don't have I really can't bet this game because I don't know anyone's health on quarterback for Missouri. Like, I have no idea what's happening. So
yeah, and we put up Missouri team total under 3.5. I probably, if you put a gun to my head and forced me to bet this game, would probably just play under 41.5. The reason that I'm not doing that is maybe I shouldn't think like this, but of what happened last weekend, I lost 2 bets. One on Missouri, Oklahoma under. It was 9-10 in the fourth quarter. The score was 10-9 in the fourth quarter, and they scored like 35 fourth quarter points to go over. And I also lost South Carolina team total under when they were getting Vanderbilt defense was giving South Carolina problems. I know if you look at the final score, they had 28 points. They were struggling to move the ball against Vanderbilt. Missouri's a top 25 defense here. If someone asked, why don't you just lay the 13.5 with South Carolina? Missouri's defense is good, and this South Carolina offense is not very good. They're not consistent. So, yeah, probably under would be the way I would go if you put a gun to my head and force me to bet it. Next game.
Don't think anybody's going to put a gun to your head.
No, not this week. Rutgers, Maryland. To be honest, I didn't even look at the game. Where all 3 of us are unable to bet this one in New Jersey. Do you guys have any? Scoop is a Scarlet Knight alum. So what are your thoughts on the Knights?
I went to that game last week where Rutgers asserted their dominance, and Callie McManus was the best quarterback in the planet. I'm gonna ride them again here. I can't bet it, but so keep in mind Rutgers beat Minnesota without Monungai. They were down to their 3rd and 4th string running backs, and they were without their sack leader on the defensive side of the ball. Maryland isn't a great team, and let's be real, this is Rutgers' last chance to become bowl eligible, I think. I think they'll lose at home to Illinois next week and playing at Michigan State. Just have a feeling Michigan State is going to Aiden Childs all over the place that game. There's no statistic evidence to back that up, but yeah, Maryland just lost to this Minnesota team 48-23 a few weeks ago, and really they shouldn't have won that USC game a few weeks ago. This team should be on a 5-game losing streak. Rutgers will be more physical on the defensive side of the ball, and Rutgers' offensive line should create a ton of room for Monungai. He should be back here. Let's not forget Maryland did let Northwestern score 37 points, so it's hard to see how Rutgers can't move the ball. This defense is just really bad. I know Maryland's offensive side of the ball is a bit better than Minnesota, like Lil Drew said. Billy Edwards has been great. They're a very pass-heavy offense. Rutgers is capable of playing great defense. They're just really inconsistent right now. But I'm going to trust Rutgers' offense to see what they could do last week with a dominant run game. And if Callie McManus can continue improving, he actually has improved every game this season. He does have 830 yards the last 3 games, which is about 700 more than I thought he'd have in those 3 games. Rutgers also has the least amount of penalty yards in the nation. They're number 1 in that. They're well-disciplined. And Maryland's turnover prone, 11 turnovers in the last 4 games. So, yeah, go RU. Let's make that pinstripe bowl.
The reason Rutgers have the least amount of penalty yards is because we play home games in New Jersey and we cheat. We cheat out here in New Jersey. We some people like to call it cheating. We call it getting the shit done. We get the shit done out here. We're not throwing flags on our own guys. I actually think this is probably a Maryland spot, to be honest. I know I know at a glance at the matchup, it looks favorable to Rutgers in a sense that what is the weakness of this Rutgers team? The run defense, the defensive front, their middle linebacker and leading tackler or projected leading tackler this year was ruled out. I think his name's Torrey, ruled out for the year before week 1 even started. So they lost their best defensive player before the year started. They haven't been able to stop the run all year. And you look at Maryland, an offense that wants to throw the ball, an offense that hasn't really been able to run it. So you might be like, hey, that's a favorable matchup for this Rutgers team. Their weakness, Maryland's not really able to exploit it. That being said, what does Rutgers need to do offensively? Run the ball. Not trusting Callie McManus on the road to make throws. Maryland's weakness is the secondary. It's the opposite of Rutgers. They have a very strong defensive front. It's tough to run the ball on this Maryland defense, which means you're talking Callie McManus on the road making throws to stay in this game. I think Maryland might dust them. I think Maryland might dust us here, Scoop.
No.
Andy?
I would be on Rutgers. Pretty simple how Maryland's season has gone. Last week was a little weird because of the weather, but if you can get a pass rush on Maryland, you're probably going to beat them by 30. Their O-line is the worst O-line in the country, or at least power conference O-line in the country. And Rutgers, while the numbers don't look like they have a great pass rush, they've faced some really good O-lines and they've gotten a little work done, so they can get to the quarterback. So Billy Edwards under pressure is a disaster. I don't think that Maryland's going to be able to do much on offense. And obviously, I think Rutgers will be able to run the ball a little bit and keep it within close. I think they could win this game, too. Obviously, can't bet it, so I didn't go crazy on it. But that's pretty much been Maryland's season. If you can get pressure on them, you're going to kill them because their O-line is just a turnstile. It is a disaster.
You know what? I think I'm going to jump on the outer bridge, go to New York, place the Rutgers bet, and come home.
There you go.
Someone said Scoop was a top group leader for senior night at Rutgers.
Senior night's next week in Illinois.
No, senior night's next week.
Well, I mean, I
actually have my banner ready and everything, so I'm ready.
Are you really going?
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to the Rutgers Merrimack game Wednesday for college basketball.
Oh shit! The Jersey Mike Center.
No, it's the rack. We're not calling it.
No, it's the Jersey Mike Center now.
Oh my god.
All right. Arizona State, Kansas State is next. What am I missing here where the market moved against my bet? Because I took the under at 50.5. It is now 51.5. I look at this game. I see two offenses that want to run the ball. I see two defensive fronts that are very good at stopping the run. I don't really understand what I'm missing. Are people just expecting an extremely fast-paced game? In my opinion, we're going to be looking at a lot of running, a lot of punting, and it should stay under. But clearly, the market moved the line against me. So maybe I'm not seeing it clearly. This was an immediate under bet as soon as I saw the matchup. Andy, if you remember, I think it was like Tuesday when we were like
exact time.
Yeah, when we were like, got to take the under. Both teams are going to try to run it. Both defensive fronts are great at stopping the run. So I took the under. Like I said, market moved against me. So maybe there's something I'm missing here. Maybe there's I'm missing an angle. I don't trust Avery Johnson as a thrower. And I mean, Sam Levitt actually has shown us he's been capable. How healthy is Sam Levitt? Is he completely good and back?
Yeah, he'll be fine.
All right, so maybe they like Avery Johnson and Sam Levitt to make some throws. If I'm on a side, by the way, I lean towards Arizona State as well. But Scadaboo's out, by the way. No Scadaboo, who is probably the most important piece of that Arizona State offense. But that even supports my under.
I thought he was in, by the way.
No, I thought here's another guy that I saw listed as doubtful. They keep changing these injury status last minute. Arizona's Scadaboo's return. Looks like
he's back.
No, I think he's still a game time decision.
Okay.
Either way,
it looks. I'm seeing articles that say he's coming back, and I'm seeing a few that say he's game time decision. Regardless, I'm in on the under. Maybe some people found out Scadaboo's going to play, and they hit the over. Maybe that's why the market moved up. But I think I'm on the right side here. I don't even really care that the line moved against me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kansas State. They really hurt their chances of being in the Big 12 championship with that Houston loss last week. I'm on Arizona State. Arizona State's 7-2. I don't really think anyone saw that coming. I think they were picked last in a ton of preseason polls. It's a big game for both, though. If Scadaboo plays, he's one of the best running backs in the conference. Really, like you said, both of these teams rely on their run game for the most part. I know Scadaboo missed last week against UCF due to injury. Looks like he's trending to playing. So Sam Levitt too has been awesome. I just see this as too many points for Kansas State. Arizona State's defense has been getting better since the start of the season. They weren't great last week against UCF, but no one's stopping Arizona State's run game right now. They're averaging 200 yards per game on the ground, so Kansas State's going to have their hands full here. The good thing with Arizona State's run game is their offensive line has been a constant for this team all year round. They haven't had any injuries. I think they've caused some good line yardage against Kansas State. That Houston game was just really bad for Kansas State, and Arizona's just been clicking more and more as this season has been going on. Kenny Dillingham has done a great job with their Arizona State team. I do hating Avery Johnson and his 6'6", 280 cut build, but I have to here. I just love Arizona State in their run game.
Did you just say that? Andy,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the build?
I'm on the under with you. I think both teams want to run the ball. Both teams defend the run well. It was pretty simple.
Me too.
Maybe we're missing something. Maybe Sam Levitt's going to go out there and sling it. Maybe Avery Johnson is. I don't know. But statistically, this should be an under. And even if Scadaboo plays, like defending the run is Kansas State's bread and butter. That's what they do really well. They're very good at it. So, yeah, I think the under hits here.
Yeah, so maybe we're missing something, Andy. Next.
Scadaboo over rushing yards.
Ducks fly together. Ducks fly together.
Yeah.
Oregon minus 13.5. I have a theory. and the theory is Wisconsin is trash. No, I mean, I say that. I don't. My bad if you're from Wisconsin or a Wisconsin fan. But seriously, let's really take a peek at Wisconsin's schedule here. Which of the performances are you impressed with? The win against Rutgers, that's a solid one. That defense is terrible. The win against Purdue. They had back-to-back games against bad defenses where they looked all right. Other than those two, I mean, they couldn't move the ball at Northwestern. The 4 games they played against good teams were 4 blowout losses. They got routed by Alabama. They got beat by 17 against USC. By the way, a USC team that benched their quarterback, and it doesn't look good at all. They got beat by 17 points. That Penn State game was 15, but it was not that close. I mean, they couldn't do anything on Penn State. Penn State had Ohio State on deck.
Quarterback also had gotten hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I kind of like that backup on Penn State, though. He was pretty cool. And then last week, Iowa absolutely slapped the shit out of Wisconsin. I don't think Wisconsin is very good. Oregon, obviously one of the best teams in the country at under 14. Oregon has a bye next week. Nothing to look forward to. They got the Washington game. It's 2 weeks away, way in the future. Don't even have to worry about it. No reason to take your foot off the gas. I think Wisconsin sucks. Oregon, huge here. So, yeah, I laid the 13.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that they're going to blow them out. I think there's Wisconsin yesterday had their basketball team pull a big upset. I don't think that their football team is going to be even in the same realm. I think this one's going to get ugly. They've had some conversations about benching their quarterback. That's another thing. Getting down to your third string quarterback against Oregon would pretty much be setting up that person to fail and die. So I think that this is going to be a disaster. I think somebody in the comments just said it. I do think Jordan James isn't going to play. Questionable, but even if he doesn't play, I think that they can do whatever they want. Dan Lanning can beat teams badly. He will continue to run up the score. Against Purdue, he was pretty respectful on the road, but I don't think he will be here. This is a game where I think they can blow them out.
Scoop?
Yeah, I'm pretty done with fading Oregon or trying to think of ways to bet against them, whether it's first half spreads or team total unders. Yeah, I'm done with that. I like Oregon here. They won their last 4 games by 21 plus, and they're only giving 13.5 to Wisconsin. I'm sorry, you said it. Wisconsin stinks. We can almost guarantee Oregon will score 31 or more here. They did every game this season. They put up a ton of points. Last 7 games are all between 30 and 40 points. I mean, Gabriel's awesome. He's efficient. Going to be extremely efficient here again. Wisconsin isn't bad defensively at all, but Oregon's going to score here. As much as Wisconsin's going to try to answer, I don't think they can with that offense. Oregon's just extremely good against the pass. They're great against the run. They're top 15 in efficiency in both of them. This is going to be kind of like a bend to your break type of game for the Badgers. They're going to stay in the game early, I think. Their defense will keep them in it. But, I mean, towards the end, Oregon should just be able to pull through. The talent gap is just too much here. Plus, Iowa just hung 42 on Wisconsin. I just don't see them coming back much offensively at all for Wisconsin. They don't have enough weapons.
Next. Go ahead. Take the 7.5, Scoop. Fade Coach Campbell.
Nah. I'm taking Cincinnati though.
Why'd you say no and then say yes?
Well,
no, I'm gonna take. I said go ahead, Scoop. Take the plus 7.5. Nah, I'm taking Cincinnati plus 7.5.
Yeah, I just like Cincinnati 7.5 here. I think that's a better bet. Yeah. I know. Both games are on a 2-game slide. I'm pretty disappointed. Iowa State lost that game to Kansas. Their defense just completely fell apart. They gave up 532 yards, which isn't like them. And it actually pisses me off because that's how Kansas should have been all season, where I lost a ton of bets on them. It wasn't Rocco Beck's fault. He still put up almost 400 yards, 3 tutties. Yes, tutties. I find it hard to see Iowa State covering here. Both of these teams rank in the top 30 in total offense. Cincinnati can really run the ball well, and it's hard to put any faith in Iowa State's defense right now. Offensively, they have a ton of skill players through the air and on the ground, but I think Cincinnati can answer right back with their run game. Iowa State is 103rd in defensive rushing yards, 107th yards per carry. Yet Kansas ran all over them. The defense is just falling apart, and they're also battling a bunch of injuries. In that Kansas game, they had to start a bunch of freshmen and new transfers, including some of their big defensive players. So I'm going to take Cincinnati. If Sorsby would stop fumbling the ball, that would be great, and it would really help their chances. I think Iowa State wins this game, but I feel like it's going to be more like a touchdown.
I disagree. I think Iowa State might blow them out here. I'd be on Iowa State minus the 7.5. Nobody goes into Iowa State and throws the ball in the Clones defense. This is a very good pass defense. I know they got lit up last week. That was, first of all, that was on the road. And second of all, it was against Kansas. And I think Kansas might be the hottest offense in the country right now. They cannot be stopped right now. That Kansas offense, they were already a top 10, top 15 rushing attack. Jalen Daniels has gotten hot throwing the ball. Truly, I think, all jokes aside, Kansas might be a top 10 offense right now, the way they're playing. So, yeah, they gave up points on the road in Kansas. In my opinion, they'd be hanging 35-plus on anybody they play right now because Kansas looks that good. That being said, we're back at home now against a Cincinnati offense that seems to be trending in the other direction. The run game has disappeared. Entering the season, I thought Cincinnati was going to have a good rushing attack this year. They brought back a lot of production on the offensive line. I think in 3 of their last 4 games, they're averaging 3.5 yards per carry or less or something crazy. Just not good at all. The run game hasn't been there for them, and that's what you need to do to move the ball in this Iowa State defense because the pass defense is elite. Top 10, top 15 pass defense in the country, but stopping the run is their weakness. Cincinnati's run game hasn't been very good. And on the other side, Cincinnati defensively seems to be falling apart. I mean, the last 2 games, they gave up 34 points, 31 points. Look, I know Iowa State is definitely rattling a little bit and hasn't been playing. The run game doesn't look great for them. But I think, personally, Cincinnati's really going to struggle to put points on here. Final score, let's say 27-13. 27-10, Iowa State.
Yeah, I'm going to be with you. I think this will be a blowout. Cincinnati has struggled on the road defensively against the run, which is obviously what Iowa State wants to do. So that's you can't be in that. And I know their last road game was against Colorado, who doesn't want to run the ball. Colorado had a 46.2% success rate. That's pretty good for a team that doesn't want to run. So now you're facing a team that wants to run. You're going on the road in a tough environment. Like you said, not going to be able to throw. They've been turning the ball over. I just think a lot of it points to Iowa State. Plus, Iowa State's coming off a couple of weeks in a row now where they got they've ruined their season in the span of 2 weeks. So I think that they're in a bounce back situation here. Matt Campbell could be coaching his last game here, so could be a good spot for him.
I doubly disagree with Kyle. I think it goes over personally, but
Well, you're wrong.
well, you know what? Side bet me, all right? Text me after.
Side bet me.
Side bet me. Side bet me.
Next.
1v1.
North Carolina Wake.
If there was ever a Power 5 game we should have left off, it was this one.
Come on, chill. Big game Hank.
I was gonna say, come on.
I think Wake Forest is winning the game.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
thing I
sentence.
yeah. All right, why don't you 1v1
Yeah,
me?
go
Why
ahead,
don't you
go ahead.
Side bet me.
Yeah, I think big game Hanks can be able to throw the ball here. He's had a good season. I mean, it's a joke that this is it for him. It's one of his last games, but he's been pretty good throwing the ball. And that's North Carolina's weakness. They cannot stop the ball through the air. So I think that Wake Forest will be able to score. Question is, can they stop them? I think we're going to get an old-fashioned UNC interception fest here. They've had a few of those games this year where their quarterbacks have made mistakes. I think they're going to want to run the ball, but I don't know that they're going to run it as well as they've run it throughout the year. So they're going to have to get the ball through the air in a shootout. I want Hank in a shootout. So I think Wake Forest could win the game outright. So obviously the 10.5.
Scoop.
Yeah, I mean, I think UNC is a way better team, but I mean, come on, 10.5 point favorites. The one game they had recently was against was against Virginia. I mean, and then they played Florida State. Everyone beats on them, and now they're laying 10.5 to big game Hank. There's no way. They just don't have the consistency here to back. I mean, what do you see in North Carolina that inspires confidence, really? I get Hampton's good, and their defensive line has shown flashes of what they should have been, but North Carolina, right when they start getting good, you can see a total letdown spot. And believe it or not, Wake is 3-0 against on the road this year. They beat NC State, UConn, and Stanford all on the road. I mean, I know Wake's a hard team to figure out too. They've been up and down themselves. They had that 2-game win streak on the road and then gave up a ton of points to Cal. But the thing with North Carolina is I don't think their secondary stays in front of Wake. 7 of Wake's receivers average over 10 yards a catch. They have speed on the receiving side. Wake can put up a ton of points, especially away where that's where they had all their FBS wins. So I'm just not putting stock in North Carolina right now, laying 10.5 points. There is nothing that makes me want to take North Carolina laying that much.
I lean the other way. I'm a believer. I'm a believer in what North Carolina's doing. And look, as a big game Hank apologist, I think you guys have taken it a bit far. Yeah, Wake Forest may put up 24, 27 points in this game, but I think North Carolina is going for 40 plus. Would also lean over. I think North Carolina blows. I don't know how Wake Forest's defense get off the field. North Carolina's just going to hand it off and stay on the field for 5-6 minutes at a time. I know that it's actually indicative of an under. You said an interception fest. I think you classified the wrong team with that. I think it's a big game Hank interception fest.
No way.
Slandering Hank is crazy.
I know, slander of Hank.
He's throwing some picks in this game. I think North Carolina's going to have a big number on the scoreboard in this game. Now, whether big game Hank, I wonder if people even know who we're talking about. They're like, who the fuck?
Wake Forest quarterback.
Hank Bachmeier is the quarterback for Wake Forest. We call him big game Hank. There's not really a logical reason why we call him that. I'm not sure how it started. But so let's move on to the next one. I think
64 is a lot, though, man. Like an over-under.
I think North Carolina's going to score 45 points in the game.
Oh, you want to talk about over-unders?
Okay.
I think 14 to 21 of those points may be gifted by big game Hank. All right. Thanks for this one, Andy. I'm glad you loaded up the schedule with this one. You left off South Alabama, Louisiana, but put this one on.
Conversation the other day. You told me to put this one. You literally said you should put this one. This is a good one. You said that. Those words came out of your mouth.
I'm not laying 10.5 with a Washington State team that doesn't play any defense.
No, I'm not either.
It's the over's at 71.5.
I know it is, and it's gonna hit. These teams, both offenses are amazing.
Yeah, this total 71.5. And you know what? Remember last night's game? The UTSA North Texas game, it's at 72.5. These games are that high for a reason. I'd go New Mexico team total over, or you could just put the over up for me. That's fine. If you want to know what to expect in this game, a shitload of touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the points here with New Mexico. New Mexico's offense is just that good. I know they didn't flash it much in that San Diego State win, but they have the ability to put up 40 plus at any time. Listen, we talked about them briefly yesterday. Washington State is quietly a solid team. I mean, they clinched the Pac-12 regular season title 3 weeks ago. So I think that's the fastest anybody has clinched their conference. So listen, Washington State is ranked. Their schedule wasn't that bad. They did beat Texas Tech, Fresno State, San Diego State, Washington. So they're not playing terrible teams, but they also haven't played a solid offensively team since late September with Boise State. This is going to be the toughest offense Washington State has played. Yes, New Mexico is a tough offense. I know their defense is absolute dog shit, but this one's on the road. Washington State didn't cover to San Diego State by a double-digit spread. They played San Diego State relatively the same, actually, when New Mexico played them and Washington State played them. I think Dampier will be able to throw it a bit, definitely run the ball, and Eli Sanders will be able to get it done on the ground too. New Mexico's offense is going to cause some problems, I feel.
Next.
Both teams also don't have a pass rush. Both quarterbacks can just sit back and sling it if they want.
Kansas is winning this game.
I
couldn't do it. I can't.
It's because you don't understand. I have Kansas money line at plus 130. I have Kansas plus 3. It's one of my favorite bets of the day. I think Kansas wins this game. The line's pretty indicative here. You have one team's 9-0, ranked number 6 in the country. They're only laying 3 points to a team that's 3-6, and there's a reason for that. We all get obsessed with these final scores. You're like, 9-0 versus 3-6. The truth is, these two teams are riddled with one-score games, and BYU is 9-0. They could very, very easily be 5-4. And Kansas is 3-6. You can make an argument that they could be 9-0. I mean, every single game that they've lost, all their games, well, the games that they lost, it's even. They're either winning or within a point with a few minutes left. Kansas has lost so many one-score games, and BYU has won so many one-score games. The variance is huge. There's a reason this line's down to 2.5 now. But it's not just that. What I just told you, that's why the line is so short. I just gave you a reason for the line. It's not a reason for the bet. The reason for the bet is, like I said earlier, Kansas is on a warpath right now. This offense looks unstoppable, and I think they're going to score a lot of points here on the road at BYU. This was already a top 10, top 15 rushing attack all year. That's always been there. Kansas has always been a dominant rushing attack since the start of the season. Shit, since last year with Bean at quarterback, they were a dominant rushing attack. But now Jalen Daniels figured his shit out because he is slinging the ball all over the field. He just had a huge game throwing 12.3 yards per attempt against Iowa State. It's a top 25 pass defense right there. Didn't matter. We're slinging it all over the field. Jalen Daniels is playing his best football of the year right now. So can we get the poll, please? So yeah, I'm on Kansas. I think they win outright. So someone said, where are you seeing plus 130? The graphic, that's the bet I placed earlier in the week, and he just made a graphic for it. He looked at my list of bets and made graphics for them. I placed that like on Monday, I think.
I'll update them from now on.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
Always say them, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, Kansas wins.
Oh, you were waiting for me. Yeah, I agree. I think people do get caught up in the records a little too much. I do give BYU credit. This has been an Unbelievable year for Coach Sataki and them. I don't think anybody expected it, but they've been playing close games. Last week was a scare. Last week was a scare against a bad offense. What do you think is going to happen when they're facing a red hot one? Like, they were facing an offense that we said earlier in the show might score less than 10 points. That team nearly beat them. Now they're facing an offense that's just roasting hot. They're finally playing like they were supposed to play, right? People had Kansas winning this conference earlier in before the year started, and they had some close games. The rough one to UNLV is the one that sticks out the most, but besides that, like, now they're finally playing up to their potential. I think Kansas can easily win this game. So yeah, I agree with them. I think Kansas wins. Yeah,
BYU's last two games were against, you could probably make an argument, the two worst teams in the conference, and you can make an argument they should have lost both of them. They should have lost at home to Oklahoma State, who's terrible. Oklahoma State is terrible. They needed a miracle touchdown with 12 seconds left to win that game. That's at home against the worst team in the conference. They followed that up by playing the second worst team in the conference in Utah. Probably should have lost that one too. So Kansas is steaming hot, and BYU is trending the wrong way. Hell yeah. Jayhawks. Scoop, are you with us?
Fly.
No. I mean, this was the Kansas they were supposed to be. To be honest, earlier in the season. Oh, by the way, Kansas is about plus 110 on the money line now.
Yeah, so the plus 130 is long gone.
Listen, they had 42 on Houston, 45 on Ohio State. I can't fade BYU right now. It's crazy when you look at the records, 9-0 to a 3-6, getting 2.5 points, but it makes sense. I'm just terrified to bet this game. Kansas State probably shouldn't be 3-6. Obviously,
don't live your life scared, Scoop.
They actually, I'm a scared little boy. They actually only lost by more than one score one time. That was TCU over a month ago. I'm still gonna take BYU. I get Kansas is getting better than they were earlier in the season, but playing BYU at night, going to Provo, Mormon party's going crazy. Husbands bringing their multiple wives to their game. It's gonna be loud. If this spread stays under 3 points, to be honest, I think it's hard not to pick BYU. But I mean, come on, aren't we due for another Jalen Daniels, Kyle McCord-esque game where he just keeps fumbling the ball, throwing a few picks? What better team to do that, against than a fully healthy BYU defense? BYU does lead the country in interceptions, and really, I think that's where it's going to be the difference. Kansas and BYU has such a big turnover discrepancy. I know Retzlaff hasn't been great lately, but defense does give up. Kansas' defense does give 280 yards in the Big 12 games this year through the air. So he should have a decent game here. If BYU wins this turnover battle, I think BYU is going to win this game.
That's an incorrect bet, Scoop.
Anything that helps Colorado get to the Big 12.
It's all right, Scoop. Though you had your winning streak. Wyoming ended it, and now you're not seeing it clearly. You're not seeing.
I probably could have won that lost to Wyoming bet, but that pissed me off so much.
I don't, dude. I was rooting for you because I didn't bet the game. I was literally rooting for your streak.
I was so mad that I turned on the women's undercard for that boxing fight. And
You had a 9-game college football winning streak. You had Wyoming plus 9.5 as your 10th in a row, and you're in the Discord talking about the women's boxing match. I was like, what is this dude doing? His priorities are all mixed up.
That was bad.
Andy, spew your Georgia bullshit.
No, I'm on Tennessee. I want to be clear. This is me. I'm not a homer. I've been saying it all year. I'm not a homer about Georgia basketball.
As he's wearing orange.
I'm not a homer about Georgia football, and I love them. They are not covering. This was 10 when I looked at it. They are not covering this number. Look, that Carson Beck isn't good. I love the guy. He's not good. All right.
Wait, hold on. Isn't that a Carson Beck jersey hanging behind you?
Dude, that was Aaron Murray back in the day.
Wow, Aaron Murray.
He wears 15, dude. Get it right. No, look, he's going to be under pressure because the O-line is not only unhealthy, they just have not been blocked. I mean, Ole Miss had him in a blender last week, and this is a very similar pass rush. So I do think that's going to be an issue. Tennessee, the only thing that worries me about the Tennessee offense is, look, they're not going to be able to run the ball. We know they're not going to be able to run the ball. Nobody's been able to run on Georgia, and they honestly haven't been able to run much at all anyway. Is Nico healthy? I'm going to say he's healthy enough to keep this one, like Jackson Dart did, keep them in control or within striking distance of the game. Do I think Georgia loses? No, I think Georgia wins this by a field goal. But I think Tennessee covers this number. This number is way too high for a Georgia team that, as good as I think they are and as talented as they are, have had 2 big games or 3 big games this year, and their offense has not showed up for a single one of them in the first half. They didn't show up against Alabama in the first half, and they were down 28-0 in the blink of an eye. They didn't show up against Texas, even though they won the game, and they certainly didn't show up last week. The offense didn't do anything last week. So what tells you that Georgia's going to automatically show up against the Tennessee defense? That's really, really good. So I think Tennessee covers, Georgia wins.
Do we have a status on Nico?
He's playing.
He's playing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Nico playing, I would lean towards that side. I placed this bet early in the week. The number's gone. I have the under at 48.5. It hasn't moved that much. I think it's at 46.5 now. So it's not like, oh, it's long gone. But 48 is a relatively key number. So you could put under as the main. That's my bet on the game, is the under. I would lean towards Tennessee now that Nico's in there, and I agree that this could be a close game. I don't really trust the Tennessee offense much here, especially on the road against a Georgia defense that seems to be figuring it out against the run, specifically against the run. This is a Tennessee offense that wants to run the ball. They've shown us in flashes in the Alabama game, and they've shown us in flashes that Nico can throw the ball and they can be an effective passing attack, but they haven't shown me enough to think that Tennessee can go on the road and just come out like, hey, we're dropping back to pass 40 times today, and that's our game plan. I haven't seen that. This is a Tennessee offense that wants to run the ball, and I'm just not seeing it here against this Georgia defense. And on the other side, Tennessee's defense is as good as advertised, better than advertised. I mean, you got to put Tennessee's defense in the top 5 in the country against both the run and the pass. This defensive front is so goddamn good. Tennessee is lights out defensively. Carson Beck, Andy said it, definitely not living up to our expectations. Georgia hasn't been able to run the ball all year. So I get spot-wise why you would take Georgia. They always beat up on Tennessee. I could see it. But based on what we've seen on the field, based on the fact that Nico's going to be playing in this game, I don't think it should be more than a touchdown. But personally, as far as what I personally bet, I have a ticket for the under at 48.5. I might put a few dollars on Tennessee now, though. This game's going to be fun. Obviously, it's going to be on the main TV. Definitely want to be rooting for a side. So I might put a few dollars on Tennessee, but I like my under at 48.5. Scoop.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. I think Georgia wins, Tennessee covers. It's the biggest game of the day, obviously. Georgia needs this one badly. The issue with Carson Beck, I don't think he's like a bad quarterback, like Andy said. I just think he's forcing the ball, but it's mainly their offensive line. Their offensive line has been really, really bad, which is something you don't really see for Georgia. I know one more loss from Georgia is going to definitely end their playoff hopes. They're out. I think they're the first team out looking in right now. But really, I have to wonder if Georgia's going to be able to stop Dylan Sampson. I know Kyle said their run defense is the one thing that's actually clicking for them, but Dylan Sampson's a beast. He leads the SEC in rushing, and it's really the biggest part of Tennessee's offense. So if he stops him, Georgia's going to win this game. They do have a solid rush defense, like Kyle said. They're only allowing 111 yards per game. The other big thing, though, is what I mentioned before. Georgia's pass protection is just really bad. 5 sacks against Beck last game. They're pretty much averaging. They're giving up 2 sacks a game, and Tennessee's pass rush is just extremely solid. I know Nico's back here for Tennessee. He's decent. I don't know if he could take advantage of Georgia's okay secondary, but their secondary is bad too. So if Dylan Sampson can get the run game going, it could open up their passing game for sure.
That's a big if, though.
I know. But that's the only thing Tennessee can do. I mean, is run the ball. So either way, this does feel like a big line for a struggling Georgia. Georgia's offense is just off, so I feel like this is going to be a low-scoring game. Georgia's defense can clog up the running game probably. there's just major concerns for the whole Georgia offense. I don't know how they're going to play here. So with the questions there, I would definitely take the points with Tennessee.
All right, let's do the community parlay. Hit them with the song.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We come unite, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, I'll do the community parlay, and you put up the underdog for Andy.
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Type of like freak ass noises are these, man. All right. All right, so here's the underdog for Andy. Shoots for the stars, aim for the moon here with a 4-legger. Let's see what he's got.
Yep. So I got Jack Lausch higher than 112.5 passing yards. I know they're playing Ohio State. I don't think that they're going to do much, but they're going to be down by a lot. They're going to have to throw the ball. I think they'll get those yards, even though they're probably going to all be in garbage time. Kyle McCord higher than 289.5 passing yards. That's much lower than what it usually is. And he's facing a Cal team who has struggled against the pass against good quarterbacks. He's a good quarterback, so there you go. Riley Leonard higher than 63.5 rushing yards. We talked about it. Virginia can't stop the run. Riley Leonard is the main rusher, honestly, for Notre Dame when they're hot. So that's their quarterback, obviously. And the one lower is Jaden Mayava, lower than 265.5 passing yards. He's going to be under pressure. Matt Rule's going to scheme up well. They have tape on him. It's his first start of the year, and it's against a good defense. I really don't like that situation for him. I think Nebraska wins the game, and I think he's a big part of it. I don't think he's going to be able to, especially throw for that high of a number. That's a high number for a first start. So.
First leg of the. Oh, I'm sorry. Tell him the promo code.
No, that's fine. The first leg of the community parlay is Colorado. If you didn't know, if you're a new customer, a free leg is Victor Wembanyama over a half total point. So if you don't like one of Andy's legs, you can replace it with Victor Wembanyama. Also, if you want to become a new underdog customer, you can become one in one of these eligible yellow states here. You can sign up with the customer code BET, B-E-T, and get a deposit match up to $1,000.
How many letters?
I think it's 3.
So someone commented one time and goes, "This show's got me walking around saying 3 letters," and he said,
3 letters. You know what else is 3 letters? TWD. Happy birthday, King.
It's not his birthday. I wouldn't even believe that it's his
Alan
birthday.
M says happy birthday, TWD.
Happy birthday. I hope you don't get arrested at the Old Dominion.
Don't get arrested.
Don't get caught. Yeah.
Don't get caught.
LSU money lines in.
Don't get caught. Jesus Christ.
That could go a lot of ways.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what he's doing.
Don't get caught, he says. James Madison will put in there. So it's LSU and Colorado so far.
Colorado I love, by the way. I was with them all year. I told you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I bet that Utah team total under. I gave it out. I recorded it in the YouTube video, put it on YouTube on like Tuesday. Didn't actually bet it. Now it's gone. Kansas State, Arizona State. Which side did they like in that one?
Oh, only Lord knows.
All right, I'm just gonna skip it because I don't remember which side they voted for.
Arizona State.
They voted for Arizona State. Yeah. All right. What's the third leg of the community parlay?
Parlay. 6 letters.
Give us the best NBA pick. I didn't even look at the NBA, man. I only posted one NBA bet on the website yesterday. The NBA, if you remember last year, I didn't really get deep into the NBA until December when college football slows down at the Thanksgiving weekend. Combination of I'm really busy and also I do what I do based on data. I'm a data guy. Everyone has different processes. I like data, and I just don't have a ton of it right now. Each teams have only played 11, 12 games. The patterns have been a little crazy. So getting another month of data under my belt. Last year when I got hot in the NBA, January, February into March, I really was having a nice stretch there in NBA, and that's when I think the prime spot is. So right now with NBA, I'm just throwing bets down here and there. But college football Saturday, I'm probably not placing an NBA bet.
I know no one cares, but I bet the Bucks -3.5 today.
Milwaukee?
Yes, Milwaukee.
Why?
Because I don't like the Hornets.
Because I don't like them.
I don't like them.
The NBA just lacks aura right now. It's really costing the league.
It is a little tough right now. I'm an NBA guy.
Their courts looked beautiful yesterday, though. So.
No, they didn't, dude. They all look ugly as
I
shit.
love them. I think they're the greatest part of the NBA.
The NBA Cup is stupid.
All right.
It's the Emirates Cup, actually.
Yeah, my bad.
All right. What's the last leg of the community parlay? Cast your vote. So far, we got Colorado money line, LSU money line, Oregon money line, and the final leg is going to be cast your votes. Cast your votes.
It's on fire though.
And of course, you guys are wrong. You better vote against BYU because this shit ain't hitting if BYU wins this poll. Give it another few seconds.
Oh yeah, you do not want BYU.
BYU ain't winning.
No, you do not want you
can't-
do not want the trappiest line on the slate in the freaking community parlay.
Yeah, they do. They do. The community has
my
spoken.
God.
Everyone cast your vote not for BYU. I don't want to. I'm not hitting end poll. It's another team is winning this vote.
I'm
here.
I'm just a guy, just a spectator.
Just a guy.
Just a guy who reads lines, and I may not be that good at it looking at my results thus far this season, but looking at the number 6 team against the 2 and 7 team.
All right, I'm hitting end poll. It's
All right.
freaking BYU.
I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy.
Just a
telling him I
girl
love
doing
him.
girl math.
All right, someone shout the odds for this, and let's get the hell out of here.
Asking him to love me. What's that from?
Oh crap! I know it too.
Someone in
plus 286.
Plus 286
Thank
banger.
you. Thank you for the odds.
Yes, thank you, Jay.
Appreciate you.
Your service is appreciated. Getting the odds. So
You're
plus
the man.
286 according to Jay in the comments. Thanks everybody for watching. See you all tomorrow, 11 a.m. for some NFL. There's some good NFL action. Not
Yes,
the best college
I'm
football
hyped.
Saturday, but I got some NFL bets down already. So we'll be back 11 a.m. tomorrow to talk the NFL. Everyone,
3 letters, NFL.
3 letters. Everyone, enjoy your Saturday. Bet responsibly and all that. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me.
Stay goated, everybody.